Nice to meet you. First of all, could you please tell me what class you are? I told my son around the end of the school time. Is that right?
I graduated from high school in 1983, and
83.
yeah, and the school closed in 80. So I was part of the merger.
Okay, okay. Then it
They,
was even later with 83. Okay,
and that,
okay.
my classmates and I have a theory that, maybe we even have a more heightened emotional attachment to Golden Valley because it was taken away from us.
Well, maybe that could
Maybe.
be. I don't know,
Yep.
but I think that when I talk to I'm not in contact with that many people from my class, but a few of them over all the years that I've been away from the United States, and I think they're all pretty emotional about it. I don't think I was that emotional, Joe, because I did a lot with the high school, but I had my friends, real friends, I mean closer friends, were at St. Louis Park. They were in Golden Valley. I mean, I had three real good friends in Golden Valley, and the other ones were friends, but we didn't do that much together. And I did things with these three women, with these three girls at the time, and with my group of girlfriends and boys from St. Louis Park High School. So, I
So
mean, that makes a difference.
yeah, what were the friends' names at Golden Valley? Do you remember?
Well, of course I do, because I still know them. My one girlfriend was Andy Feldman. She graduated with me. Her husband died this year. She met him at my house. He was my older brother's best, a real good friend. They're having what do you call it? Not a memorial, but something about life. I
Yes,
can't remember
yes.
the name of it. But anyway, that's at the end of April, but I'm not coming. First of all, my husband's very sick. And second of all, I'm afraid to come to the United States right now. I'm afraid they won't let me go back home. That could be.
Right.
You
Right.
understand?
I do. I
That's
do.
one thing. The other one is Charlene Wente. She's pretty active. She knows a lot of people from the other classes also. And Marilyn Smith, who died 5 or 6 years ago. That was Charlie, Smitty, Andy, and Beth.
Love it. Love it.
That was very. We did a lot of stuff. And we did really crazy things together, like TPing and some of the teachers' homes and some of our own homes, and going out, getting all dressed up in crazy clothes, and going to Dinky Town and having pizza together. And we went to movies together and just did a lot of things together. And I did a lot of things with other people at the school too. I mean, at school, but not after school and not on the weekends, not that much.
Okay. Where did you live during this time? What was your address?
5201 Olson Highway, across from uh, those at what used to be. I don't know if they're still there. The house was still there uh, on Highway 55 on Olson Highway when the last time I was in the United States 7 or 8 years ago. And I don't know if they're still there. It was um, you had to go onto a side road
Right.
to get up to where we lived. You couldn't just drive off the highway up. You had to get off the highway to get there, either from 100 across from the old park that was right next to Meadowbrook School, around on Highway 100, or from 55 down the road a little bit was the White House. It used to be there, the liquor store. I was so happy when I could finally go there. And a girlfriend from another school, her father owned it, and he asked me for my identification, and I was so happy I had it with me so I can find it. I'm not a big drinker. I'm still not a big drinker, but that was a good memory from that time. When you said you wanted to interview me, I think I thought about more of the bad things I thought about that high school than I thought about the good things, because I just found a report card of mine and for example, I mean, I'll just say this right now. I found a report card from the last year of high school, and I always had A's in English most of the time. And I got a final note in English as a senior in high school. I had a B because I couldn't stand my teacher and she couldn't stand me. I've had talks with some of the people in my class, like Barbara Annex and Prestegard. When I went to Europe, I stayed with Barbara and Pete Prestegard in New York in their high rise. They took me down to the ship the first time I left for Europe for the first 2 years, and I was just going to be here for 2 years. It's been a bit longer since I left. And I told her about this, my feelings, and she said that's not really the way it was. I think the thing that really that really bothered me the most about school is that there really was no people that are younger than me that are also Jewish said they didn't have this problem. But I was never invited to one of the mixed parties the whole time I was in high school, not at this school. And I've become friends with some of the, well, not with, well, with one man from my class from that time. And I could talk to him about stuff like this. And he said he was sure that I'd been at parties in his house. And I said I never had been. The only time was when we graduated. I think one of the parties after graduation was at his place, but I'm not sure. And then maybe I was there, but I can't remember what it looked like. And I can remember what the inside of other people's homes looked like. If I wanted to party with boys and girls when I was young and in high school, I had to go to my parties with my friends, either from the synagogue, which was not very often because I'm not very religious, or with my friends from St. Louis Park. That's the way it was. And that
Yeah,
didn't make me very happy at the time.
I understand. And yeah, I want your, your honest recollections. This is super, this is great. Thank you so much. What was your synagogue?
Temple of Israel must have been around somewhere around Lake Street. I loved going up the hill and going through, what's the name of that area by Lake of the Isles?
Kenwood, the Kenwood neighborhood?
Kenwood. Yeah, I do Kenwood. And it was in there someplace, but I don't know. I don't know Minneapolis anymore in my
No, of
head.
course.
I've been driving here for so long.
So what
I
happened?
was,
You went to Europe and you thought it was going to be for a couple years, and there you are. What happened?
oh yeah, well, I studied French and German at the University of Minnesota, and I liked both of the languages, but my next door neighbor on Osten Highway came from Vienna, and I could speak a little German better than maybe others because I had a little practice with him. But I said still I wanted to go to Europe. I had enough money to spend a half a year in Germany, a half a year in France. But I came here first because I had an exchange student as a sister in parentheses from the Free University of Berlin, and she was going. I didn't take care of her, but I always helped foreign students in the foreign student office getting ready for Minnesota winters or learning how to turn on radiators if you came from India, stuff like this. And my fourth year, I said, I want someone who speaks German. And I got Karen from a little city, a little town around Hamburg, about 40 miles from Hamburg. But she studied in Berlin. And we were going to go back together. And I was going to go with her. And we were going to live together at a student dorm in Hamburg. And then she got us a scholarship to get a master's degree. So she stayed another 2 years at Minnesota. And I went and stayed with her mother. And then I went to Berlin. And I realized that I said, first of all, I said I didn't want to go to Paris after that because I realized I would not learn enough German in a half a year to really be able to speak it. And if I ever wanted to teach, which I never really wanted to do, but it was what I thought I could possibly make out of speaking languages or earn money with speaking languages. I applied to teach school in a German school. They had exchange programs with England for Germans to go to England. And I said, if they take English people, maybe they'll take an American. My school didn't like it because I don't speak British English, but they took me for 1.5 years and I earned enough money to stay here. And then the first year I was here, at the end of the year, there was a meeting for all of the pupils, the teachers coming back and the teachers teaching here. And I met a fellow who looked at me, and the first thing he said was, well, first of all, he had that's too long of a story. For some reason, he was very, he told me I couldn't cook because I'm an American, and I invited him to come to a meal. He didn't live in Hamburg, but a bit, maybe a half an hour from Hamburg. He said he would be in Hamburg the next weekend because he'd met another student from Germany, from Hamburg, in Paris, where they lived for a year to study in Paris, and they would both come to dinner. So they came to dinner, and he never came back, but the other fellow, my future husband, came back because he liked my cooking. He said he liked my cooking. He still likes my cooking. And that's how I met him. And then I stayed another year, but then I promised my parents I would come back and get my teacher's degree and then see how it turns out. So I was back in the United States for an entire year. And then I came back and we got married. So that's why I've been here so long.
That's
We
great.
have 2 kids and 3 grandchildren.
2 kids,
So
3 grandchildren. That's great. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Where were your parents from? Where was your father from?
Minneapolis, Minnesota, and my mother's from Lincoln, Nebraska. My father was a doctor, and he did an internship in Newark, and then he was in Manhattan for a year and met my mother there at Pesach, at Passover time, and they got married in 1939. So that's how they met. And my father was a country doctor. I've spent the first 10 years of my life in Wakanda, South Dakota. That's where I was born, in Yankton, in a Catholic hospital where my father was working. And then my brother's time came for his bar mitzvah and to learn for his bar mitzvah, and we moved back to Minneapolis. And that's how I got there. And when I first moved to Minneapolis, in St. Louis Park, we lived on 2437. I don't know the address anymore. Not very far from the grade school I went to. And the girl sitting in front of me in the 4th grade when I went to school was Andy Marks Feldman. Then she moved to Edina, and I saw her again when she came back to Golden Valley, and we graduated together, and she met her husband at our house. So I knew her from the very first year that I was in Minneapolis when we were 10. And she's still living and lives in Tucson, Arizona now, but also has a house still in New Hope.
Take me through the schools that you attended.
First in St. Louis Park for half a year till my parents bought that house.
Okay.
It took a half a year about. I think I came in the middle of the school year. Then I was at Meadowbrook. Then I was in the Annex. You've heard about that one. The Annex, the entire 50 kids in my class were all in the basement of the Annex for an entire year. It was hell broke loose. It was terrible. I thought it was terrible. 50 kids going through, 13-year-old kids, all in one class. We had one, what do you call it? We had to copy sides of pages and pages out of books for Mr. Hollow because we were always too loud. And he always, I don't know, he was always giving us stuff like that to do. It was terrible. And it was really loud. And it was hard, but I wasn't there the entire time. I remember that must have been the 8th grade, but the 7th grade was upstairs in the 1st floor with Mrs. Lindbergh. That was still the Annex, in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And then I was in the 9th at Golden Valley High School. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. The first year there was no 12, there was no graduating class.
You're the first person that's talked to me about the Annex. So I read about the Annex. I've never seen pictures of it and heard anybody talk about it. So you did not love the Annex.
Well, it was nothing. I did not visit. It was just having all of these kids going through puberty. And one room was really difficult, I thought. And I mean, it was hard to keep us quiet. And it was I don't know. It was very, very impersonal. Also, I thought it was impersonal. I mean, you knew the teacher. Oh, we had a new teacher too there, Miss O'Leary. There were just too many people. I think the only thing I really remember about the class was Mrs. Lindbergh teaching us penmanship because she could write so beautifully on the back. But really, the part of school that I remember is when you have to do something that's really stupid to make up for making a lot of noise or something. You get
Punished.
Punished, and then these ridiculous punishments were so, you'd sit down and you'd spend 2-3 hours copying 50 or 40 or 30 pages or 20 pages out of an atlas or something. It was ridiculous. I would never have taught that way myself.
Understood. What was the name of the teacher, the English teacher that gave you a B? Do you remember?
I don't know anymore. I know what I called her, but I can't tell you that. Sorry. Oh, I don't know what her name was. I didn't like her. We had 2 English teachers before that. One of them did the newspaper, Mrs. Nelson. I learned typing from her. And then we had Mrs. Herring, which is a herring in German, also the fish. And she used to be, her husband was he worked for a newspaper and she did too. So she did the Valley Viewer with us. I was on the Valley Viewer staff. And the way I learned English from her grammar, I mean, which I love. I mean, most people say grammar, how terrible, but I like grammar. My mother was an English teacher, English and French. But anyway, I liked the way she taught English, and I liked the books we read in her class. I learned something from her, and I was looking forward to having the former English teacher that I think only the first or maybe up to the second graduating class had. That was Mrs. Arendt. And she didn't teach our class in the senior year. We got this new teacher. I can't remember what her name was, but it was just, we didn't like each other. So it was very difficult for me to like her English, the way she taught English. That never happened to me before. This never happened since then, I don't think was.
My sister, who also went through Golden Valley, she had a couple teachers that she was a really good student and really well, behaved. She wasn't like me. I was a little bit of a class clown, a little bit of a let's have fun. And my sister was very studious and serious. And she had a couple teachers that she butted heads with. And one was Mr. Bannock and one was Miss Blixt, but I don't think they were there. So,
No.
So after Meadowbrook, after 8th grade, you go to the high school? And
Ninth grade.
so Meadowbrook is over on one side of Highway 100, and then the high school is on the other side of Highway 100.
Meadowbrook wait a second, was on Turner's Crossroad
Yep,
on before Glenwood.
yep,
And the Annex was then at the corner, but behind our playground on Glenwood.
gotcha.
And I don't even know if it's still there. I don't know if it's still there. Such
I
an
don't,
old building, probably not. I mean, everything is being ripped down here, and apartments are going up. Even the old beautiful houses around where I live now. And it's probably the same way in the United. It was too old. I don't think they still have it. And
I don't
then
think,
I walked most of the time. I always missed the bus that stopped, and I was never ready to go, but I could walk behind our house. Was Mr. Lockwood still in school when you were there? He wasn't there anymore, was he?
yes,
The
Robert,
math teacher?
Mr. Lockwood.
Okay, Mr. Lockwood lived behind where I lived. And I could walk through his yard or behind his yard to the railroad tracks and walk the railroad tracks and go down the hill when I was at school. It was easier than trying to catch my bus in the morning because I was always sleepy. I'm still pretty sleepy in the morning because I didn't like getting up so early. I never liked getting up early, but I now, like my mother said, when you can sleep, you can't, and then you can't sleep anymore. And so I'm at that stage where I don't sleep very much. And I can't fall. My husband lies down and he falls asleep. I've never been able to do that.
So
I
ninth
don't know
grade
anymore.
at the brand new Golden Valley High School. Were you the first ninth grade?
I
Maybe.
suppose so. Because I saw I was at when they were digging the first holes to build the school. So I must have been the first year that the school was opened up.
I think
Because
so.
my older brother, 2 years older, he didn't come back with the first class that grad that was, they were ninth, they were juniors. Just a second. I was in the ninth grade, 10th grade, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they were juniors. And he stayed, they went to West for 1 year and then he stayed there. He didn't come back to Golden Valley. My younger brother is the only one that also graduated from Golden Valley.
Now,
I
West,
have two brothers.
are both of them still living?
Yeah, both of them are in Chicago.
I'd love to talk to
Alan
them.
and his wife lived in Edina until they moved to Chicago about 6 to 8 years ago, or maybe even longer. I don't know how long they've been there.
I'd love
Their
to talk to
children
them
moved.
if they're, I'd love to talk to them if they're up for it.
Well, I can ask them. You can ask them too. I mean, I can ask them. I haven't heard from my older brother for a long time. I don't know how Alan's doing because the last time I talked to him, and there seemed to be something wrong, but he didn't want to talk to me about it. So I just don't.
Gotcha.
I accept that. He doesn't want to talk about it. I don't know what it is.
So where was West? I didn't know anything about West. Was West High School, was that in Minneapolis or?
My mother moved out of our house when my father died in 1985 and lived in a retirement home on West Lake Street. And across the street, or where this retirement home was built, it was about 10 minutes walk to Lake of the Isles from where she lived. And that was where the old West High School used to be.
Okay.
Where that was, I don't know. It was not you went by at the time you went by the Guthrie, which is not naturally not there anymore.
Yeah, because I just had never heard of it, and I didn't. So there were kids in Golden Valley who were going to West High School before Golden Valley High School was built and started, right?
That's right.
Okay.
They even the first graduation class was at, I don't know if they were at Jefferson. I think it was junior high school before West. I'm not sure. I don't know. My trouble is I tried to help Karen Berger, who's writing this thing about Golden Valley High School, everything that has to do with. I gave her both of my Annex yearbooks that I had from the 8th grade and from the 7th grade, because I said I don't really need them anymore, and there's so much information. I sent them to her, and now I realize it would be a good thing if I had those for my own memory, but I don't. She has them. And I don't know how many years there was no junior or senior high schools for the classes that graduate. I don't know that anymore. We were at the Annex, the 7th grade, upstairs, then the 8th grade, and the 9th grade. I was at Goldberg. So I didn't have to be shipped away. I just know, like I told you, I think in one of that was the year when my older brother Melvin stayed at West because of sports. And he said there are no buses. I don't, there were a few buses to Golden Valley. And he did a lot of walking. And my mother picked him up every once in a while, but it was not a regular thing, because it was, yeah, I mean, maybe he'd be done at 6 o'clock in the evening. That's when we had supper. So that was his problem, not hers. She said if he wants to see that, it's okay, but I'm not going to take him back and forth all the time. Then he broke his leg skiing, and my mother fell off a ladder at the same time, and I had to do all the shopping, and I had to take him to school and bring him to the and take him back. But I mean, it was a lot of work, and I may not have felt that much at home at Golden Valley, except for the friends. I had one other friend. I forgot about Sue because she died a few years ago. I'll tell you about her, but I'll tell you this other thing. But I participated in a lot of things. I do that still at 81. I participate where I live. I was at this, I told my husband today, at this wine party yesterday evening. There were 7 tables, and I knew most of the people by name. They could only have about, there must be 6, 7, 40, 42. There were about 40 people there yesterday. I knew most of the people that were there. And I've been living here 1.5 years. I go up to people and say, I'm new here. My name is, I live there. What's your name? And I tried to memorize them. And I did that, I think, in high school too, because I just like participating. I like meeting people and knowing people and making, I suppose, like I like reading, that I try to keep my mind working. And that's what I think I did in high school too. When I look at all the things that I did, I was in the choir, I was in the honor society. That was because I wasn't the best in the class, but I was good at some of the stuff. I didn't take very difficult courses. All of it. I mean, German I took, but I took typing, and I called off math, and I didn't want science. I didn't need them. I didn't think if I would have gone on teaching, I would have needed them. I would have had to make that up, but I didn't care because I wanted to be able to breathe, because I found out the 4 years I was at the University of Minnesota, you had to have time to breathe. You had to do so much. I thought it was really a lot to memorize, a lot to do, a lot to prepare for, and I never got enough sleep. The whole time I was at the university, I was always tired. And I think in high school, I enjoyed it too. Though I mean, it's not that everything was negative for me. That's not the impression I want to be. I just want to say the thing that when I think of the high school is that I didn't have a normal teenage time at that high school. And to tell you the truth, I don't really know if it was my personality or because I was Jewish. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I was obnoxious when I was. I don't think I'm obnoxious anymore, but maybe they just didn't like me. I don't know. I mean, I was junior class president. I mean, I had to have people voting for me when I think about it. I mean, I just wanted to say that I did participate as much as I could, and I had fun. I was in plays, and but things came like homecoming or Sadie Hawkins Day. I mean, if I asked someone, I was at Sadie Hawkins Day, but I didn't get asked to go to the homecoming. I mean, stuff like this, not at this school.
Right.
And that's not always so much fun. But I still enjoyed my time at high school. And when I tell my husband that there's a reason that I don't like, what do they call it in English? Fish sticks, is because I had them every Friday at school because of the Catholic kids. And there weren't that many Catholics at Golden Valley, but I had to eat them because he likes them every once in a while. He says, it's an easy meal. What are you complaining about, really? And I said, you're right, but I still don't like them because I had them every day. I mean, every Friday. And, but that was part of school life. I mean, they don't have school meals. They didn't have all day school here in Germany when I first came here. At some
Right.
schools, they have that now because of the working parents. But I just want you to know that I wasn't always that dissatisfied. I don't want to make that impression.
No, I get it. It was a mixed bag, and being a teenager, and that age is it's there's a lot going on. I mean, it is a love letter to the school because I do have a lot of affection and love for my childhood and all the people, but I also know that it's not perfect. It's great to hear the whole unvarnished truth.
Well, Joy, for example, I talked to Karen about this one thing. It was Mr. Hollowell there at the school too. When he called me Schwartz. And I told him one time in the eighth grade, I mouthed off and I said, I don't play football and I don't play basketball and baseball. And that's a name that you give my brother, but not me. And he said, there's the door, my dear. And I always got good grades. But I couldn't tell you now what I learned in these classes. And I just thought that and I get talking to Karen, she gave me a complete different idea about this. She has a complete different opinion about it. And many of the classmates that I still have contact with sometimes and talk to about this, at least like up to 10 people in my class, they thought these teachers were wonderful. And I still can't believe it.
I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'd love to talk some more. Email me the people that you think, or talk to your friends that from Golden Valley that might want to talk, and we'll just keep talking and having a good time.
Okay.
Sound good? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Joe, we'll talk together then. We'll see what
Okay.
what
Thank you
turns
so
up.
much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.